First of all, Last Count Corla, can I commend Tommy Bruin for bringing this motion forward and for his brilliant advocacy on behalf of the Stardust families and his review of the whole case tonight. Can I also commend Antoinette, Robin, Geraldine and all the families who have fought so long and so hard to get justice and truth for themselves and for all the families and for the victims. The suffering, the hardship, the pain that has been endured by the families is simply indescribable. None of us can ever fully know or understand that, and that hardship, that suffering, that loss cannot be undone. But what can be done is to give closure and truth and justice to the families and the victims. And what the families have said again and again and again is that what they want in order to establish that truth and achieve that justice is a new commission of investigation to look at all of the evidence, and in particular to look at the new evidence that they have already presented to the government. I think the Minister should correct the record of what the Taoiseach said in the Dáil today when he said that he had not seen, or that the government had not seen, the evidence. I personally, at the request of Antoinette Keegan, handed the file with the evidence to the Minister, Minister Fitzgerald, on the last day of the last Dáil. So the government have the evidence. And the evidence includes, although it is not limited to, the fact that 5 of the dead young men, 29 feet away from the West Alcove, where the Keane report claims the fire took place, were, according to the pathologist Derek Carson, already dead by carbon monoxide poisoning at the point at which Keane says the fire started. Those two things cannot be both true. The pathologist says they were dead from carbon monoxide poisoning before the official report says the fire started in the Western Alcove. Secondly, that there was a 999 phone call from Brenda Kelly at 1:43 saying that there was a fire in the roof and that it was well advanced. Keane says the fire started at 1:43, a small fire in the Western Alcove. Both things cannot be true, and the evidence of Brenda Kelly has not been taken into account. Furthermore, there is evidence that the map that was used as the basis for the official findings on the fire was not the correct map, something that even Butterley said at the Keane hearings. He said that the map was wrong and that it did not show the storeroom where the family believe the fire actually started earlier than the official record said, because it was full of combustible material and that there was electrics that were neglected by the owners of the nightclub, which likely ignited that combustible material and caused the firestorm that killed the 48 young people. So that is the evidence, and that is sufficient evidence, and is all can be expected of the family. After all of these years, that is enough evidence to have the Commission of Inquiry. We don't need another review of that. We need a proper, full investigation of that and all of the evidence. That is sufficient. Furthermore, the family want to get to the bottom of the fact that there are 2 coffee reports, the first of which states and recommends that there should be a new inquiry, that there is, quote, compelling evidence of the need for a new inquiry. And in the letter accompanying that first report, there is no mention of that first report, with that recommendation being a draft, as the government insists on calling it. Coffey says, pursuant to my appointment on the 11th of July last, I have completed my examination of the Stardust Victims Committee's case for a reopened inquiry. That is Coffey's letter on the 8th of December. Furthermore, we have discovered in response to the FOI and the information provided to the FOI that something I asked for and got a response from the Minister on the 17th of this month, this year, where we asked for the records pursuant to any meetings that took place on foot of that first report. And I got a response from the Minister saying there were no records, there were no meetings. And yet, the FOI information that was provided to the families shows that there were documents. They were not released in the FOI, but they existed. So the Dáil was misled. There were two memoranda, one from the Department of Justice, and another memorandum with information for the government and associated government papers. And they were not released because they were part of government deliberations on that report. Those memoranda should be released, because they are key to understanding what changed between the first report that said there should be a new inquiry and the second report, which you insist on calling the first one a draft, but Coffey disputes that in his letter. And you have no evidence for the statement in your response to my question where you say that Coffey asked for the right to clarify and change and amend the report. Where's the evidence for that? There's nothing in the FOI, there's nothing in the correspondence from Coffey, where Coffey says, and don't you think he would have said it, when he submitted the report to you, don't you think he would have said, this is a draft, I'm going to make further changes? Why doesn't he say that? Where is your evidence to confirm that he wanted to amend it? There is none. He refers to it as a completed report. And then, between then and whatever considerations happened and the memoranda that passed between various departments, and then whatever deliberations happened at Cabinet, lo and behold, a new report comes out with 70 changes, including, critically, the change removing Coffey's recommendation that there be a new inquiry. Now, we need the truth on this. What happened? What was in those memoranda? What happened at Cabinet where this evidence was discussed? And why does the government insist in saying it doesn't have the new evidence when that evidence has been presented? There is no need for further delays. There is no need for another hurdle for the families to jump over who fought from between 1981 and 2008 to exonerate their family members from being guilty of their own killing. And now another hurdle is being put in their way. That hurdle should be removed, this amendment should be withdrawn, and the Commission of Investigation should be set up forthwith.